Canada will soon introduce legislation to legalize recreational marijuana. Pot advocates are not as happy as you might think. The Cannabis Culture dispensary in downtown Toronto gets a steady stream of foot traffic around noon on a weekday. But Marc Emery, who helped set up the franchise that flouts Canadian drug laws by selling pot to anyone over 19, is annoyed. The dispensary had been raided the day before by Toronto police. It's the government's intention to legalize it. So why is the government still arresting people? He asks. Mr. Emery is just one of many owners of illegal marijuana storefronts that have mushroomed in cities across Canada after the federal Liberals were elected in 2015. The Liberals have committed to legalising recreational marijuana in Canada and plan to introduce marijuana law reforms on the sale, cultivation and distribution in Parliament next spring. Marijuana advocates are now pushing the legal boundaries in the grey zone between prohibition and permission. Former Toronto Police Chief turned federal politician Bill Blair, who is the Liberals' point man on legalization, is having none of it. The only system for control is the existing legal regime. And we're a society of laws, he says. Mr. Blair says Ottawa has consulted U.S. states like Colorado and Washington that have had legal recreational cannabis for a few years now. The lesson learned? It's easier to ease up later than to get strict later, he says.
But advocates like Mr. Emery, who has dedicated much of his life to fighting against marijuana prohibition, and spent 5 years in a U.S. jail for selling marijuana seeds to Americans, say they have lost patience. We already have everything settled, he says. We know how to sell pot. We know how to grow it. We know how to buy it. We know how to smoke it. And they do not give much credibility.